Why? Do you always go for the cheapest, or do other things come into play? And Chef Dean Edwards has got his own tips on how to keep prices down at the supermarket. So get in touch if you've got some great hacks to share with the rest of us on how you get the best deals. After that, we're going to be discussing, are 1% deposits a good or bad idea when it comes to getting a mortgage? More than ever, young people are struggling to get on the property ladder, and with rising house prices, it's even harder to save enough money to cover the deposits needed. So is a 1% deposit the answer, or would it make the problem worse and actually push house prices even higher? We'd love your thoughts of that, particularly if you're struggling to buy a house yourself or you're just getting into the market. Get in touch. And finally, should you worry if your child is overweight? Obesity levels in 10 to 11-year-olds have still not returned to pre-pandemic levels, and experts are warning that there actually could be lifelong health consequences. So Dr. Anita Raja will be joining us to give some advice, but maybe you're out there and you're worried about your own child or your family member with obesity issues. So pick up the phone and give us a call and ask your questions. 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need. Calls from landlines may cost up to 16 pence per minute, plus any call setup fees, and calls from mobiles may cost considerably more. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, of course. Search for Jeremy Vine on 5. Use the hashtag Alexis Conran. And you can also email me, alexisconran@channel5.com. But first, do you always shop at the same supermarket? 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need. Pick up the phone and let us know. The price of food has skyrocketed recently. It's it's more important than ever to make sure that you're getting your money's worth. But for a lot of people, convenience or habit mean they have got to go to the same supermarket every single time. And that could actually be costing you hundreds of pounds. We're joined today by Chef Dean Edwards to share his tips on how to get the best out of your supermarket shop. But first, let me ask you two. JJ, did you go to the same place every time?
Yep, I go to Sainsbury's for the main shop.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, for Sunday roast, M&S or Waitrose. Treat myself on a Sunday.
Oh, yeah. I see. Isabel, are you stuck with one place?
I love a supermarket. The bigger, the better. And
right.
I lose all discipline in one of those hypermarkets, like the massive ones.
Yeah.
So there's a really...
You start buying shoes.
Oh,
you've only come in for potatoes. You've bought a printer and some shoes.
Literally, there's a huge one on the Isle of Wight where we go on holiday a lot, and I'll go in and I'm like, right, I need to get some potatoes and some milk or whatever. I'll be coming out with a canoe.
Dean, it is an issue, though, isn't it, that for a lot of people, they don't have the choice because they'll go to the one that's nearest. We spoke many times on this show how the local versions of the bigger supermarkets, your Tesco Metro, your Sainsbury's Local, charge sometimes up to 40% more for the goods that are in the identical item in the bigger store. So actually varying where you shop could actually end up saving you a lot of money.
Absolutely. I think the main thing is what people are more concerned about is the convenience, isn't it? So, yes, by shopping around different supermarkets, because they change from week to week. There are offers and bargains on in different supermarkets. So you can, if you've got the time and inclination, you can shop round and you can save a fortune. But I guess you have to value your time and how much do you value your time, and petrol money as well. If you're kind of going around 3 or 4 different supermarkets, it might be not quite as cost-effective as you might think.
As a chef, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, though, aren't you? Because you've got to have the quality of your ingredients because the way you design your menu, but then price comes into that because you may want to cook something your customers may want to have, but actually price forbids you from putting it on the menu.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think for me, my speciality now is really family food and home cooking. So I can really relate to the struggles that people up and down the country are having. And I've been in that position myself where, money is so tight that the important thing is putting something really delicious and nutritious on your table. And I think, by shopping around, you can really kind of make savings, but it's not always as easy as that for people. OK,
well, let's have a look at the most expensive supermarkets there. So we're going to go from the most expensive to the cheapest. This comes from Which magazine and were released earlier this month. No surprises, Isabel. Top of the list there, Waitrose.
And it is a different shopping experience.
Is it?
So, yeah, we've got a Waitrose not too far from us, and I very rarely go in there for the reason that it is that much more expensive, but it's quite nice going in there. They're just a bit, they tend to be a little bit smaller. Obviously you do get some really big ones, but yeah, I feel like the food is a bit higher quality, and for me, I'm really passionate about farm animal welfare.
Okay.
A bit of a quirky thing about me, I actually really do care about those chickens and the pigs and the cattle and so on.
You still eat them though?
I don't eat much of it.
Do you
So
okay,
I'm very, very choosy about what we buy, and Waitrose has amongst the best animal welfare standards from its farm suppliers, as does M&S. The further down you go to the cheaper supermarkets, they put less of a premium on higher animal welfare standards. So if that's important to you, then Waitrose is a good one.
So Waitrose at the top. This is for the same shop. It came at £94.94. Then, as you see, Ocado, which I think is M&S now, Morrison's, and then Tesco. Now, important to say that all these prices are without the cards that you can use. So without the loyalty cards. We've done items on the show before about how loyalty cards can help bring those prices down. So these are without a loyalty card. Now, JJ, let's go to the cheapest one. So it is no surprise that Aldi topped that list. It's always a fight between Aldi and Lidl. They're always between Aldi and Lidl. Then you've got Asda, and then in fourth place, you've got Sainsbury's. Are you surprised by that, JJ?
Not at all. Actually, I would have thought Sainsbury's would have been on the higher end of cost, but you'd expect Aldi and Lidl to be at the bottom. You get what you pay for in there. It's like Isabel says, I don't find it a pleasurable shopping experience going to Aldi. There's lots of random things. There's no brands of anything. Yeah, canoes. You go in there, there's a camping chair sometimes for sale.
Not enough canoes.
Not enough canoes. I don't like shopping in Aldi or Lidl.
Boring.
But for basic staples like cornflakes, I wouldn't mind going to Aldi and Lidl.
Do you actually buy cornflakes?
No, I don't eat breakfast.
Such an old-fashioned example, right?
Let's hear from people at home who are getting in touch. Ray in Nottingham. Ray, good afternoon. What would you like to say?
I'd like to agree with what you've said about you must shop around.
Yeah.
I'm a pensioner in my late 70s. I have eyesight problems, so I can't drive. So I have to shop where I can.
Right.
But I don't mind catching 2 buses to go and get what I want from where I want. The biggest problem, apart from price, is have they got the product?
Are you finding that to be a problem, Ray? I mean, a lot of people have complained of shortages, and a lot of people... I hear more and more people complain that perhaps there isn't a shortage. They will get a product that they need, but the choice of, whereas before you could have 3 or 4 or 5 even different versions of what you were after, now you're confronted by 1 or maybe possibly 2. Are you finding that's happening more and more?
Let me give you an example. Lidl, for instance, have been out of salad cream nearly all summer. If you want a salad, I have salad cream with it, so I would go somewhere else. And I shop around. But it's not just human food. You've got to take into account, A, the service that you're getting. Yeah. I like to buy bulk. I'll buy pallets.
You buy pallets?
Wow. I'll buy pallets.
That's hard on the bus.
Yeah.
No, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
have
to get a driver. But you see, there's animal foods, there's pet foods.
Yeah. And they're heavy.
I rescue cats. And at least product I buy is 20 dozen tins.
How many cats have you got, Ray?
I've only got 24 at the moment.
Oh, my.
Wow. Are you serious, Ray?
I'm short-stocked. I'm recruiting.
Ray, are you serious? You've got 24 cats?
Yes.
Amazing. I can imagine that, having to buy for 24 cats. Yeah, I can't quite work out how you do that on buses. Ray, thank you for your call. Shopping around, of course, that is the big key.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What about places like Costco, these huge places where you can go and buy stuff on bulk, on pallets? Surely that's the best way to save money.
You have to have membership.
And you have to have storage space.
That's the key.
People don't have places
Costco.
to store.
I remember I kind of really got into Costco for a while, and I thought, this is going to be... And actually, I ended up paying more because you kind of get so excited because you're buying everything in bulk.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be...
buy chocolate.
You have to be VAT registered for places like Costco. But I'm sure if you have to buy in bulk, stock. So mostly the other shoppers around were people who are running takeaways and people who are running sort of smaller restaurants. For them, yes, but I think for domestic people, unless you've got a ginormous family, I don't think it's as cost effective.
I think buying in bulk for a family using the essentials, like rice and pasta and things that can really work out, because if you've got it in your store cupboard, you do tend to use it, and it's just about being that little bit more organised.
It's always least economic, isn't it, to buy the smallest things?
Absolutely.
I mean, I've noticed in the supermarkets these enormous sacks of rice or pasta. They're literally just a few pounds. They keep you going for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, you have been running a campaign how we can save even more money by actually going back to canned goods, which I know for a lot of people, and I do think that this has to do with generations. I think certain generations are very familiar and comfortable with canned goods. And when sort of fresh products came to the supermarkets, everybody turned up their noses on canned goods and went, well, it's not fresh, it's in a can. But actually, that's not quite true.
Well, I actually grew up eating canned ingredients, and it was a real staple part of our family life. And I sort of look back in the day, we used to do our shops once a week. By the end of the week, the cupboards were pretty bare. Like, sorry, Mum. But, the biscuits went first, all those... by the end of the week, you were kind of...
Just the spam.
Yeah, exactly. Well, come on, spam's pretty good, eh? But I do think that by using canned ingredients, it can really add to your family meals during the week. Now, when I was a student, and money was so tight, you can afford a little bit of chicken. And I always used to use canned ingredients as a way of making my meals go further, kind of, and just really maximising that kind of nutrition and taste within the recipes.
I used to eat, as a student, canned ravioli. I'd literally eat it out of the tin. I can't believe it, looking back.
Alphabetti pasta, there we go. That on toast, basically. I lived off of that for a bit. Let's have a look at some of the prices, because it really can make a big difference here. So fresh peas, £1.75. For the same amount, 10p's, 28p. That's a massive saving there. Let's take another one. Tuna, of course, quite expensive when you're buying it fresh, £7.80. For the same amount, canned tuna, £1.75.
There's a huge difference.
Huge difference, which in the long run, of course, save you a lot of money. One last one, because I do love a bit of a, when you're looking for something sweet, fresh peaches. Canned peaches, I think can sometimes be even nicer than fresh peaches.
They're in the syrup.
They're in the syrup, a little bit of yoghurt. But look at the difference. Fresh peaches, £3.20. Tin of fresh peaches.
They'll be right. But
34.
Like the ones that say ready to eat and they're like bullets.
Yeah.
I think on average, you can save around 50 pence per item fresh as opposed to using cans. So, if you haven't got the budget, I think it's absolutely fantastic to use these ingredients as a way of making your budget go that much further. But it's not even above that. I think having both canned, frozen ingredients alongside your fresh, because we throw out an incredible amount of food in the UK.
Let's take another call. Susan's got in touch in Hertfordshire. Susan, good afternoon. What are your shopping habits, Susan? Do you always shop at the same place?
I don't. I quite often shop at Sainsbury's, which is my local supermarket.
Yeah. Is it one of the big ones?
Yeah, it's a big Sainsbury's. Okay. But I prefer, if I'm honest, I prefer to shop online.
Oh.
This is a company that has mostly organic, fresh food.
Right.
Which is my preference.
Yeah.
But it's more expensive, so I can't do that all of the time.
And how are you with canned goods, Susan? Because we were saying that actually you can save a lot of money even with those organic companies by buying, canned goods. They last for a very long time, very quick and easy. Open a can of beans, you can make something lovely with it. Really cost effective, very good for you. Are you into your canned goods?
I generally try to avoid that because of the aluminium, for one thing. I've heard that the aluminium can actually get into the bloodstream. And also, because if it's got...
I've never heard of that
salt,
before.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Also, if it's got salt or sugar in it, then obviously I don't want to have that either. So I try to avoid that.
All right. Susan, thank you. I want to look into that because I always assumed that was just not true. But then again, Susan may have very good sources for that. But I would have thought that canned goods are safe and good to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I've personally never heard of that. In opposed to what Susan just said around the salt and sugar, not every canned ingredient has that as a way of preserving the ingredient within. You know, the canning process itself actually kind of makes it safe for us to eat up to 5 years.
I think it's something to do with if you leave the tin open and you store it in your fridge, so it's not scientific.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that.
That of course, that might be something. Dean, thank you. It's been a pleasure to see you.
Thank you so much.
Really nice of you to step inside. Fellow MasterChef winner.
Oh, lovely. He's rubbing it in now. Lovely second.
Lovely to have one in. Look, Dean, thank you. Lovely to see you. Thank you for your calls on this and your messages. Later, we're going to be discussing whether you should be worried if your child is starting to put on weight, becoming overweight. We're going to be also having some advice for Dr. Anita Raja. If you're concerned, then do get in touch. And if you have a question for her, perhaps how to deal with it, how to approach it, what are the first steps that you can take if you're worried about your child's obesity. But after the break, we're going to be discussing 1% deposits for buying houses. Is it a good or bad idea? It's harder than ever to get on the property ladder. So could the option of just a 1% deposit be the solution that we need? Are you struggling to buy property? Would this help you? Get in touch, 0207 862 2222.